Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dives today. We're going to be taking a look at electric air taxis,
Oh, cool.
but not the kind you might be thinking of.
Okay.
Not like some Silicon Valley pipe dream. This is about a company tackling some real urban transportation challenges. In India,
Oh, wow.
a
Okay.
company called Sarla Aviation.
Interesting.
They're making waves with their approach.
Yeah, it really caught my eye too. They just got a $10 million funding round, and they're trying to develop a 6-passenger electric air taxi,
Yes.
which is pretty ambitious when you think about it. Most of what we see are for like 2 to 4 passengers at most.
Exactly. And here's the real kicker.
Yeah.
They want to make these air taxis as affordable as auto-rickshaws.
Whoa, hold on. As affordable as auto-rickshaws.
We got it.
Wow.
You're talking about like
Yeah.
zipping over gridlock streets
Yeah.
without having to empty your wallet.
That's impressive. So where did you hear about this?
So the source for our deep dive today
Oh.
is a podcast episode from Startup News by the Product City
Mm-hmm.
called Accel Doubles Down on Sarla Aviation's Ambition to Develop Electric Air Taxis in India.
Okay. So what's really intriguing to me is this isn't just like some, far-fetched idea. Sarla Aviation is led by Adrian Schmidt and Rakesh Gaonkar, and these guys have serious experience in the EVTOL space.
Yes.
Electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, just in case anyone's wondering. They both come from Lilium, a German EVTOL company.
Lilium. Yeah. The journey has been a wild ride. They raised over $1 billion, went public, faced some setbacks, and now they're back in the game.
Absolutely a real roller coaster.
Yeah.
I bet seeing that firsthand must have been like a crash course
Yeah.
in what it takes to actually make it in this industry. I imagine Schmidt and Downkar learned some pretty valuable lessons.
For sure. And they're not just bringing technical know-how. Schmidt's background is at Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen.
Oh, interesting.
So that hints at a potential advantage.
Yeah, I see what you mean, like all the complexities of manufacturing, the logistics of mass production, even things like supply chain management. That's where that automotive expertise could really be a game changer.
Especially with those low prices they're aiming for.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we've got a team with experience, a bold vision. But why India?
Well, I mean, the traffic situation in India's mega cities.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine you're in Bengaluru, stuck in rush hour. Wouldn't you love to just skip all that
Absolutely.
in an affordable air taxi?
In a heartbeat. But isn't India's regulatory landscape really complex?
Oh, it is. And that's not the only hurdle. Think about airspace management, existing infrastructure. There's a lot of work to do before air taxis become like the norm in India. But let's not forget, India is a country with a booming economy and a massive population that's eager for these innovative solutions. That's a pretty potent mix for any startup,
Right.
especially one with the right approach.
So let's dig into that approach. Sarla Aviation isn't aiming for those long-range flights
Yeah.
that we often hear about with other eVTOL. They're targeting a range of 99 miles per charge.
Interesting. Exactly, and they're doing that while aiming for a 6-passenger capacity, plus the pilot. So if you compare that to other air taxi concepts
Yeah.
that are targeting like 120 to 160 miles with just 2 to 4 passengers, it really kind of paints a picture of their strategy.
They're prioritizing carrying more people for shorter distances. And as Schmidt put it, in India, a shorter range is fine as long as you can offer it at an attractive price point.
Makes sense. This trade-off between range and capacity is fascinating. Battery technology plays a huge role here.
Okay, so if you're carrying more weight with more passengers, you're potentially sacrificing range.
Yeah.
Because those batteries can only hold so much energy.
Precisely. And that's where Sarla Aviation's deep understanding of the Indian market comes in. They're betting that those shorter hops between densely populated areas are going to be the sweet spot for their service.
It's almost like they're taking a page from the auto-rickshaw playbook.
Yeah.
Short, efficient trips through the city. But wouldn't the limited range be a problem, at least initially?
Well, yeah, that's a valid concern. They'll need to strategically plan their service areas, perhaps focusing on connecting key transportation hubs or densely populated neighborhoods within those 99 miles. It's definitely a calculated risk.
And those heavier passenger loads are going to put more strain on the batteries, too. That could mean more frequent charging and potentially shorter battery lifespans.
You're hitting on all the key points. These are definitely challenges. But their strategy shows a willingness to adapt to the specific realities of the Indian market, and that's valuable for any startup.
All right, so we've got the team, the vision, the market, and the unique approach.
Yeah.
What about the actual air taxi itself? Where are they at with development?
Well, they've been keeping a lot of the details pretty hush-hush. But they have announced that their first prototype,
Okay.
called Shunya, which means zero in Hindi,
Okay.
is almost ready to be unveiled. Testing is scheduled to begin later in 2025, and they're targeting a launch date of 2028.
2028, huh? That feels a little later than some of the other companies we're seeing.
It's true. Archer Aviation, for example, is already partnered with Interglobe Enterprises here in India and aiming for a 2026 launch. And then there's E-Plane.
Oh, right. Good.
They
Yeah.
just snagged $14 million in funding and are also looking at a 2026 launch.
So Sarla Aviation has got some catching up to do. A later launch date means they need to not only get the tech right, but also convince investors and the public that their approach is worth waiting for.
It's a balancing act for sure. But remember, Sarla Aviation is going for something pretty different, that higher passenger capacity and that ambitious goal of matching auto rickshaw prices. That kind of disruption takes time.
And it's not just Sarla Aviation facing these challenges. The entire eVTOL industry is navigating some big hurdles, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We're talking about an entirely new mode of transportation here. That means safety regulations have to be developed basically from scratch.
Yeah, that's no small feat.
Not at all. Regulators all over the world are working hard, trying to figure out how to certify these aircraft, making sure they're safe for passengers and for everyone on the ground.
Right, and then there's the technology itself. We talked a bit about battery technology, but how much of a roadblock is that for the entire industry?
Well, it all comes down to energy density. Right now, battery tech is one of the biggest cost drivers in eVTOL development. And even if you can pack enough energy into the batteries to get a decent range, the weight of those batteries becomes a major design challenge.
So it's all a balancing act between range, capacity, weight, and, of course, cost. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Are there any breakthroughs on the horizon that could help companies like Sarla Aviation achieve their goals?
Well, there's definitely a lot of research happening in the battery world. Scientists are working on things like solid-state batteries, which could offer higher energy density and faster charging times.
But these are still pretty early days, and it's hard to say when or if these technologies will be commercially viable for eVTOLs.
Okay, so we've got safety regulations and battery technology as major challenges. Anything else we should be thinking about? Public acceptance is going to be huge. Imagine you live in a city, and suddenly there are air taxis buzzing around overhead.
Yeah.
There are going to be concerns about noise pollution, privacy, even the visual impact of these aircraft on the cityscape.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. People are used to planes flying high above, but having these things zipping around at lower altitudes, that's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. Companies like Sarla Aviation, they'll need to be really proactive in addressing these concerns. Transparency, community engagement, even the design of the aircraft itself, all these things will play a role in shaping public perception.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Sarla Aviation's specific plans for launching their service. We know they're starting in Bengaluru, right?
That's right, Bengaluru, with its crazy traffic.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense as their initial launch pad. They've also mentioned plans to expand to Mumbai, Delhi, and Pune later on.
A phased approach like that seems smart. Gives them a chance to iron out any kinks, build up their infrastructure, and really fine-tune their operations before tackling bigger markets. What about their pricing strategy? Have they released any specifics?
Well, they've been pretty quiet about concrete numbers, but remember that whole auto rickshaw comparison?
Yeah.
It's clear that they're aiming for a price point that's accessible to a lot of people. And here's where things get really interesting.
Oh, I like when you say that. What's the scoop?
Alongside their commercial service, they're planning to offer a free air ambulance service.
Whoa, that's unexpected. But it's brilliant.
It is. Think about the impact, especially in a country like India, where access to timely medical care can be a challenge. It's not only a socially responsible move, but it also builds goodwill and trust.
It's a great way to show the real-world value of their tech. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got Sarla Aviation's ambitious vision, their unique approach, the challenges they face, and a glimpse into their launch strategy. But there's still one big question looming. Can Sarla Aviation really pull this off? Can they overcome the competition, the tech hurdles, the regulations, to make affordable air taxis happen in India?
That's the big question, isn't it? No easy answer. I think we need to look at this from a few different angles.
Okay, let's break it down. What are the key things that need to go right for Sarla Aviation to succeed?
Well, first, they have to deliver on the technology. That prototype Shunya, it has to live up to the hype.
Right. It needs to be safe, reliable, and efficient.
Exactly. They're aiming for high passenger capacity. And frequent flights. That puts a lot of pressure on the aircraft's design.
So it's not just about getting it to fly. It's about making sure it can fly day after day,
Yeah.
carrying a full load,
Yeah,
and doing it all cost effectively.
exactly. And then you've got the whole regulatory landscape.
Oh, right. Yeah.
India's aviation regulations are complex, and they're still evolving to accommodate this new type of eVTOL aircraft.
So Sarla Aviation needs to work closely with regulators
Yeah.
to make sure they meet all the safety and operational requirements.
Right.
It sounds like a lot of red tape. Could that be a major roadblock?
It's definitely a challenge. But remember, Schmidt and Gaonkar, they have experience from their time at Lilium, navigating the European regulatory landscape. So that experience could be really valuable in India.
Okay, so they need to nail the tech. They need to navigate the regulations. What else?
Infrastructure is going to be huge. You can't just have these air taxis flying around with nowhere to land, nowhere to charge, nowhere to get maintenance.
Right.
Sarla Aviation needs to develop a whole network. Landing pads, charging stations, maintenance facilities.
And that means working with a bunch of different people. Governments,
Yeah.
airports.
Real estate developers.
Yeah, all of them. Building those partnerships.
Yeah.
Securing the approvals and the permits. It's going to be critical. And we can't forget about the public. We talked about public acceptance earlier. How do they convince people that this is a safe, reliable, and desirable way to travel?
That's where things get interesting. Sarla Aviation has a really unique opportunity here. Think about that free air ambulance service. It's a powerful way to show the benefits, the real-world benefits of their tech.
It's like they're saying, we're not just here to make money. We're here to improve lives.
Exactly. And that message could really resonate in India if they can combine that social mission with a focus on safety, transparency, and community engagement. I think they have a real shot at winning over the public.
So what does this all mean for the future of transportation in India? Is this really a new era, or is it all hype?
It's tough to say for sure, but I think Sarla Aviation is onto something here. They're tackling a real problem, traffic, with a bold solution, and they're doing it in a way that's tailored to India.
It's exciting to think about a future where air taxis are everywhere in India, zipping people around quickly, affordably, and sustainably. And even if Sarla Aviation doesn't achieve all of their goals, they're pushing the boundaries.
Absolutely, and that's how we get innovation.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of electric air taxis in India. What a journey.
It was fascinating. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the ride.